One of Donald Trump's closest allies and current senior advisor, Jason Miller, has lied under oath about his employment status with the Washington-based company Teneo in order to evade paying child support. This story was broken by The Guardian, and they report that Miller appears to have misled a Florida court about his employment status, asserting in a sworn statement that he could no longer comply with a court order requiring him to pay child support payments because of an alleged major financial setback and was effectively out of work. Now, again, I just want to reiterate, this is under oath. It continues that Miller cited his termination as a reason he could not meet court-mandated payments, even though he had secretly agreed to a new contract with Teneo that meant doing the same work for the same fee. Previously undisclosed confidential records from inside the company show that on the same day Miller signed a formal separation agreement and general release from the company, he signed a new contract with the firm whereby Teneo agreed to secretly engage Miller as a consultant through a hastily formed LLC and the very same base compensation of nearly $500,000 doing the very same work. Now joining us is Aide Delgado, former senior advisor to Donald Trump and also the mother of Miller's little boy. AJ, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, pleasure to be with you.
So I wanted to start off by asking, it's very obvious that Miller is a liar and engages in deception in order to avoid doing the responsible thing for his son. What other lies has Miller engaged in under oath?
I'm not sure about a catalog of what he's engaged in under oath. I know there have been some financial affidavits that have been questionable, to say the least, and I'm pretty certain that he's hiding assets and income, although I can't prove that just yet. But it's been more so the issue of the litigation and the vexatious nature of it and how long this has dragged out now for nearly 4 years. And that's probably been far more painful and hurtful as far as my career, my livelihood, my son, our ability to enjoy our lives than even his dodging and his attempts to dodge child support and the lies told about his financials. It's very hard for a woman to keep up with a man who's spending $15,000, $20,000 a month on litigations, and we're having multiple hearings every month.
Yeah, and then ironically, he says he doesn't have money to give for child support. So it seems rather ironic to say the least. So AJ, I wanted to ask you, if it's proven that this in fact was perjury, what are the ramifications of that? So there's got to be civil and potentially criminal ramifications. So what are you looking for as a redress here?
Yeah, so we've filed a motion to strike his pleadings from the court, which is basically to have the court say your part of the case is done because you lied to us. We filed that in April of 2020. It's been sitting on the docket and has yet to be heard, but will, I assume, be heard eventually. As far as his perjury, that's for the judge to deal with. And then I think it would be assigned to a prosecutor who brings that before a jury, I've been told. You really can't now, anytime you file a motion that's verified, as Anna said in the intro, you're stating that this is under oath, this is under penalty of perjury. And because of that claim he made that he was effectively unemployed when he wasn't, he had instantly been rehired for the very same salary by the very same company the same day that he was quote unquote wink wink fired. That caused me a great deal of harm. It's not even a little white lie that didn't result in any actual consequences for the mother or the child. I actually lost a tremendous attorney I had at the time because he was like, listen, this guy's never gonna be ordered to pay me now. I have an order saying he has to pay my fees, but now I'm not gonna get anything from him, I'm out. And he did reduce temporarily the child support amount, although later he started repaying it again. So it's been, it's not without consequences. And what you inform a court of is a very serious matter, especially under oath. So I hope there are some consequences, but I don't know. It's Florida, it's a Republican state. We've had judges that have been very, very favorable to Miller. So I don't really hold out much hope, actually.
One thing that I'm curious about is, you were an advisor for Trump, but you turned to becoming a critic of Donald Trump's. And for those who work as Republican strategists, advisors, anyone within that party who dares speak out against Donald Trump, there are some career ramifications that come along with that. And you alluded to it in the beginning of this interview. I'd like you to elaborate on that a little further, like what your experience has been since you've become a Trump critic.
Yeah, so it's probably, as you said, there's a serious ramification, and that's you're homeless. There's certainly no financial windfall or grift at all that comes with defecting from Trump, because the left doesn't want you and the right doesn't want you. So you're basically homeless. It comes at huge, obviously, personal loss, because you become persona non grata to a lot of people that you at least had personal relationships with. The reason a lot of people stay in Trump world, even though they know better, is because the grift never ends. The money-making opportunities never end. You saw that with, for instance, Brad, and I think Brad's not a bad guy. I'm not personally hitting at him here. There are far worse characters in Trump world, but they basically threw him under the bus and were done with him. And he stuck around, he went on TV, he cried about how much he loved the Trump family, and now he gets to build the new Trump platform. Ka-ching! It's like, if you stick around and lower your ethics, put what you know is right out of your mind, and stay in and hover like parasite or some sort of person at the table trying to ask for some crumbs, you eventually will get that crumb, and it might be a really lucrative crumb. It's a money saving maneuver that people engage in. They know better, because I've spoken to these people, and I know they don't really believe in the MAGA movement, or they never did in some cases. But there's a lot of money to be made in kissing up to Donald Trump.
AJ, real quick, last two questions here. And by the way, she's referring to, of course, Brad Parscale, who used to be the campaign manager of Donald Trump. So does Miller still owe you any child support payments?
Oh, absolutely. So he doesn't, we're not in disagreement that he's tens of thousands in what we call arrears, even on the temporary child support. So he does and will, even when the trial concludes, owe a 5-figure sum at the very least, probably in the $80,000 range. And it's kind of strange why there is any level of arrears, given that he's paying an attorney $20,000 a month and has all this money for litigation, but claims not to so much for child support.
It's really weird, because I thought Republicans were pro-life and for personal responsibility. I'm just shocked and chagrined to find out that in their real lives, they're not for that at all, and are abandoning their kids in not paying these payments. But last question is about Teneo. So it's this company that's mainly works for Democrats, but they did a twofer here, AJ. They wanted to apparently let Miller skirt child support payments to you, but they also did not want to be associated with him publicly because he's so toxic. But privately, they still wanted to use him because they needed access to the Trump administration, which sounds super ethical of them. Yes, that's sarcastic. So do you have any recourse when it comes to Teneo, given their responsibility in this situation?
I've had a few lawyers tell me that I do, and I'm certainly going to explore that. They did cause the damage that I felt. Miller wouldn't have been able to get away with this had they not engaged in their little secret scam, sham deal. So that is something that I'm definitely looking into. I think what he was doing for them, the reason they were willing to go so far on a limb for this guy is, I suspect it was kind of like an unregistered lobbying situation. He was basically a lobbyist, I think, and just not registered and providing access to these individuals. So, and hey, great, if you want to rehire him, that's nice, but probably shouldn't secretly rehire someone that everybody knows is in the middle of a family law litigation involving little boy and child support. Should probably do things out in the open.
Yeah, and let alone how toxic he was politically, and they didn't want to be associated with that while profiting off of it. So it's a sordid tale indeed. All right, AJ Delgado, former Trump campaign official and current critic of the Trump administration. Well, thank God, no longer Trump administration. AJ, thank you for joining us on the Young Turks. We appreciate it.
Great to be with you. Thanks.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.